councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be off. We have to take all of them.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Global governance at last. Is it one world? The central bankers in charge. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
As for me, give me liberty or give me death!
The answer to 1984 is 1776.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. Here's what we have in store for you on this August 26th, 2013 edition.
Tonight, is Syria deja vu all over again?
He's invoking the dead children.
It is really hard to express in words.
Look at the dead
human suffering,
just like the baby incubators.
And the Defense Department says the Founding Fathers were extremists that wouldn't be welcome in today's military. All that and more on tonight's InfoWars Nightly News.
Claim that an attack of this staggering scale could be contrived or fabricated needs to check their conscience.
And welcome back. Top story headline: McCain urges very serious U.S. action on Syria. McCain, who has long argued for military aid of the Syrian opposition to tip the balance in the conflict, said he was skeptical that the UN team would be able to complete a thorough probe.
Horrific. And if the United States stands by and doesn't take very serious action, not just launching some cruise missiles, then again, our credibility in the world is diminished even more, if there's any left.
And I dare say it's because of guys like John McCain, who hang out with Syrian al-Qaeda rebels on their summer vacation, that we have diminished credibility to begin with. Now, this whole situation, those comments are based on the red line being crossed, that being chemical weapons being used in Syria, even though in a clip we'll show you a little bit later on, Alex Jones's breakdown of the John Kerry speech. John Kerry admits in his speech that the UN does not have any idea who actually let off the chemical weapons in Syria, but we still need to investigate anyway. We still need to send our troops in, get the boots on the ground anyway, even though the UN who sent people in don't know who actually let these things off. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, let's do a little bit of a rundown, a little bit of breakdown of the history of these type of events. We have this article, Colin Powell, No Good Samaritan. Now, you can see Colin Powell right there dangling his bottle of anthrax, and we'll scroll down a little bit to the part it says, at the Memorial Day event, Powell hailed our wounded warriors from Iraq and Afghanistan as the cameras cut to several severely damaged veterans. Now, this is very similar to what happened today with the John Kerry speech, because right before John Kerry, right before John Kerry came on, they had a Medal of Honor ceremony, I'm sure very much well-deserved for the soldier, but they had a Medal of Honor ceremony just like with this Colin Powell issue. They had, cameras showing all the wounded warriors, so before we send you over here to die in this preemptive conflict, we're just going to get you hyped up and hooped up so you can go over there and die happy and, not make any big fuss about it. And that's the situation that's going on in here. And you'll see a whole big breakdown of this and many other things, the Alex Jones breakdown of the John Kerry speech coming up a little bit later. Evidence, U.S. bribed Muslim Brotherhood officials. And don't take my word for it. Here's Jerome Corsi.
She said further that the Obama administration knows they've supported terrorism. We're going to open these files so the nations know the truth, and the Obama administration is exposed that they have collaborated with terrorists. And it's this reason that the administration fights us. So this is a clear attempt by the Egyptian government to out and embarrass the Obama administration for supporting the Egyptian Brotherhood in Egypt.
You know, I'm speechless here. We have a long 18-minute segment coming up. I want to give you the floor as best we can to lay all this out. But I don't just believe what they say. I've done so much research like you have. I know his cousin Odinga was the treasurer for the Brotherhood. They burned half the country down. Obama advised him in emails, as you know. I want you to give people some history. So this all fits. He and his family would become like the offshore dictators of the Middle East with the Muslim Brotherhood funneling them all the money. My gosh, now it makes sense.
And also, Alex, there's a couple more things about this Malik Obama. One is he is also running money for the Sudanese terrorists. We have him attending a meeting with the president of Sudan, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court for genocide. Sudan is a terrorist nation, according to the State Department, and Malik is running the money for this organization in Sudan. Also, Malik Obama has a foundation in the United States,
wow,
1C3, that has operated illegally for 2 years until Lois Lerner retroactively made it all okay at the IRS.
And I definitely encourage you to go to the archives at prisonplanet.tv to see that full interview. It's very informative. And you see, it's not just Obama, well, not just the President Obama. There's many Obamas involved in this scandal.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
DOD training manual. Extremist founding fathers would not be welcome in today's military. I don't doubt that at all. They don't want people who honor the Constitution and actually abide by their oath. Judicial Watch recently obtained a Department of Defense training manual, which lists people who embrace individual liberties and honor states' rights, among other characteristics, as potential terrorists. The manual goes on to bar military personnel from actively participating in such extremist organization activities as publicly demonstrating, rallying, fundraising, and organizing, basically denying active duty military from exercising the rights they fought so ardently to defend. So if you want to be active duty military, and not just active duty military, it says here, the extremist ideologies described in the American colonists is also referenced as a potential terrorist marker. So, you know, the people who don't want to be suppressed by tyranny and such, you know, people like George Washington, those are your real extremists, not, you know, the people running guns into Mexico and preemptive wars and all that. No, if you abide by the Constitution and abide by your oath, then you're the real extremist. And preparing to defend, to fight these extremists, we have this Pentagon prepping for large-scale economic breakdown. It's the fiscal cliff, and you can see it right there. You see the Pentagon and agencies like the Department of Defense, a lot of DOD in the news today, are in full-scale emergency readiness, in their own words, for cataclysmic events that are believed to ultimately ignite riots in the face of chaos and economic collapse. And it's one of the reasons why we're seeing such a massive amount of spying on activists of all kinds, alternative news writers and personalities, and basically anyone preparing themselves. So the people who have the guns and the tanks and the mine-proof armored personnel carriers and the body armor and the targets of little children and pregnant women, they're saying you shouldn't get prepared, but they're prepping to the teeth. And not only that, they have storable food and water filters and so forth. But if you dare have, you know, some storable food, you're a prepper, you get put on some crazy watch list. But they're saying they're preparing to fight the people who don't have food, because in the next paragraph, it says, you know, they're going to have large-scale economic breakdowns, and they're preparing for the disappearances of essential services like food. There it is right there on your screen. So they're preparing to fight the people who don't have food, but if you have food, you're a crazy prepper. And that's the world we live in today. And that's a great article from Anthony Gucciardi, and I definitely encourage everybody to go and check that out for yourself. Now, we'll end the news tonight with this. Pizza delivery man shoots and kills armed robber.
He's a delivery man facing off with an armed robber. But what the suspect did not know, Well, the delivery man was armed himself.
Domino's driver Brian Park delivered the pizza to a room at the Days Inn on West New Haven shortly before midnight. And so far, it appears he shot in self-defense.
Asked him for his money, threatened to kill him, and at that point the delivery man, who had a weapon in his vehicle, pulled his firearm, shooting the robber.
Lo and behold, a responsibly armed citizen actually shoots somebody who is a threat to them. You know, this is something they don't want to report on the major networks, those gun-grabbing networks. But yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people out there say, you know, the guy had a knife. You should just gave him your money, and maybe he would have stabbed you, but maybe you would have survived. How about I keep my money and my life, and this guy can have a bullet? How about that? And let's end tonight with this, the quote of the day. A history of false flag attacks used to manipulate the minds of the people. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is rule. Friedrich Nietzsche. So that's it for the news portion of the InfoWars Nightly News, but we definitely encourage you to stop by prisonplanet.tv, pick yourself up a 15-day free trial. There's a lot of great stuff there. The Alex Jones Radio Show, the Nightly News, the rants, the special reports, it's all right there on prisonplanet.tv.